It's been a massive Super Saturday of Victorian state by-elections, with the Liberals gaining the seat of Prahran in Melbourne's inner city from the Greens, marking a significant boost for new opposition leader Brad Batten. Meanwhile, in the other contest in the outer suburbs, Labor and the Liberals are neck and neck in Werribee, with both their primary votes down and independents and minor parties making significant gains. 6 News chief anchor Leo Puglisi has the very latest from Melbourne.
A really significant result coming out of Melbourne's inner city last night, where the Greens have lost the seat of Prahran in that state by-election. They've lost to the Liberal Party, and Labor was not contesting. Now, this was a seat that was pretty safe for the Greens, really, against the Liberals. They held it on a two-candidate preferred margin of 12% going into this election. But you can see, even on the primary vote, they actually hold their position quite well. 36.2 for both them and the Liberals. A very slight swing away. It has varied throughout the night and really accounts for virtually no swing. But then you look at the two-candidate preferred, and what has happened here is that there has been a swing of about 13 or 14% towards the Liberal Party and away from the Greens, and that gave the Liberal Party much confidence last night, and the Greens were internally, it seemed like they were conceding at some point, waiting for, of course, to kind of set things out today. But really not a good sign within the Greens. They had one source we were speaking to just said it was Jova last night, direct quote, and then another one said, quote, "We're going to have to figure out our identity and goals soon, or this is going to continue to happen." A big boost for the Liberals, especially under new opposition leader Brad Batten. He came to the role in just after Christmas, taking over from John Pizzuto, and this gives him an early win and boosts the coalition's numbers. Of course, it doesn't dent the government's numbers, but it does dent the crossbench and hurt the Greens there significantly. This is the first time a Greens-held seat at a state level has actually gone to a by-election, and this is only the second time that a seat that they've picked up at a general election has actually been lost in a single member seat, that is. So that is, again, pretty significant for the Greens. There was also the Werribee by-election last night. That's in Melbourne's outer suburbs in the west. A pretty awful primary vote for both major parties. The Liberals at 29, with a swing, mind you. Labor down almost 17% to 28.7 on primary. The big winner there was Paul Hopper, the independent, who's also forming the West Party, 14.7. That's an 8.8% swing. The Greens, in fact, had a slight swing there as well, but 20% voted for someone else. And where those results are really significant is that teetering around 7 to 8% were both the Legalised Cannabis Party and the Victorian Socialists. That is a really significant result for both of them. Legalised Cannabis do get some of the protest vote, but for the Vic Socialists trying to kind of build up their base, that is significant for them. And they had a good ground game by all things account. There was a lot of volunteers that was seen running for the Vic Socialists there. So a good result for them. Was pretty much too close to call. Labor edging ahead on some of the later votes that came in after it was initially looking good for the Liberals, but still a tight contest regardless. 53-47 are some of the latest figures we saw late last night. It does continue to change. Steve Murphy was the Liberal candidate, John Lister, the Labor candidate, and he spoke last night in Werribee alongside Premier Jacinta Allan.
For all of you who came out on the hot January days, hitting the streets and knocking on doors, who made phone calls and stood out on voting booths, you are what makes our movement great, and I'm so proud to have been able to stand with you all of these past few weeks. I'd also like to thank all the members from state and federal parliament who've been out here with me. It was a massive and sometimes much needed boost on those hot afternoons on the doors. You'll see me melting in some street in Manor Lakes, and you come along and you keep me going.
So really anything but a good night for the Greens. They've lost one of their 4 seats in the Victorian State Lower House. They're going to have to evaluate what went wrong there. Of course, there is a federal election coming up within just weeks. There is only so much you can really take from 2 state by-elections to a federal election, but nevertheless still interesting. The next Victorian state election, of course, won't be held until November 2026.